On the journey that we will continue, we will follow two researchers in their mission to understand the effects of melting at the North Pole. When humans start burning fossil fuel as energy at the industrial level, they started the alteration of the atmosphere on a global scale. The greater amount of carbon dioxide are released into the atmosphere, the greater the increase in temperature, the greenhouse gas effect due to human activity is driving the rise in temperature, sea level rise. The effect of increasingly extreme climate change is leading to a rapid transformation of the planet, the only known habitable planet. The impact of the last 20 years shows the direction we are heading towards a planetary disaster. Glaciers around the world today, they represent approximately 10% of the Earth's surface and represent 70% of the fresh water of planet Earth, with 24 million cubic kilometers of ice, as is the case in Svalbard, in which they represent 60% of the Iceland landmass. The melting of the polar caps, what worries our scientists, it is one of the great consequences of global warming. The biggest problem it represents is that once these majestic masses of ice they start to melt faster of what we can regenerate each winter, we won't have the technology in order to stop the thaw. The ice sheets of these glaciers take thousands of hundreds of thousands of years to form, and with that they capture the climate effects between their layers. From every last year, the meltings of the ice caps, it represents the loss of one of our most important resources, fresh water, that is lost every day when mixed with seawater. This large amount of fresh water changed the marine ecosystem as much as ocean currents. The rapid increase in melting is our warning that we must do something as humanity to stop it. Our researchers aim to investigate about the possibility of strange microorganisms that remain between the layers of ice since prehistoric times, which, having been separated from the rest of the world under the layers of glaciers, have remained unchanged over time. The increase in melting could lead to release a number unknown of microorganisms that could be lethal and have a devastating effect on our society. How we have lived recently with the last great global pandemic, the COVID. And in recent history, in 1918, the Spanish flu spread through the world, and in between 1918 and 1920, infected 20% of the world's population, killing between 17 and 15 million people. Unlike COVID-19, young people were particularly affected. In 1918, 7 men between 19 and 20 years old, they sailed 1,000 kilometers north of Norway, looking for work in the mines of Svalbard. During that trip, they contracted the Spanish flu, and dead from the virus, the men were buried under the permafrost in one of the layers of the glaciers.
Today is our first day traveling to Svalbard to follow our research. We are conducting some measurements as a part of an experiment on behalf of Narodowa Akademia Studiów Arktycznych, NASA for short. We are traveling to investigate and research about the electromagnetic fields, so it's believed that it's highly possible this has a sequence with the climate change too. Also received some reports that a strand of a new virus has been discovered in the Arctic, and several locals had suffered a strong disease. 2 of them died. There is a suspicion that these events might be correlated and the occurrence of the virus has been somehow triggered by the stronger fluctuations of the magnetic field. We will try to verify this conjecture, and obviously we are going to take all the protective measures necessary to not spread the virus.
Norwegian overwinter trapping in Svalbard began in the late 18th century and continue into the mid-20th century, experiencing fluctuations in activity over time. Initially, trapping focused on walruses, reindeer, fur animals, and seals, with expeditions equipped by merchants. Despite the decline in walrus population around 1930s, overwintering trapping resurged in the late 19th century and remained active until the World War II. While economically modest compared to other industries, it attracted attention due to the legendary trappers like Henry Ruddy and Wani Wallstad. Scientific explorations of Svalbard gained momentum in the 19th century, with expeditions from various nations focusing on diverse fields such as topography, geology, biology, and climate. These expeditions, driven by scientific, political, and personal motives, significantly advanced understanding of Arctic environments. Despite risk, expeditions became platforms for national prestige and personal achievements, contribution to a rich tradition of polar exploration. The early 20th century witnessed a surge in minerals prospecting and mining in Svalbard, driven by demand for raw materials during the Industrial Revolution. Coal, phosphorite, and other minerals attracted investments, leading to the establishment of mining towns and infrastructure. However, many ventures failed due to over-optimism, technical challenge, and market fluctuations, leaving behind abandoned installations that dot the landscape. During the World War II, Svalbard became a strategic location for weather data collection. German forces established weather stations, leading to the evacuation of the entire population by the Norwegian exile government. Allied attempts to establish a presence that met resistance, resulting in casualties and subsequent German retaliation, including shelling and destructions of settlement. Despite the conflict, Svalbard war history is characterized by its role in weather intelligence rather than direct occupation. The history of Svalbard is one of human resilience and adaptations to extreme environments. From the discovery by William Barents to the exploitation of its natural resources, Svalbard has witnessed centuries of human activity that have shaped its cultural and environmental landscape. Today, remnants of past activities serve as a reminder of the region's rich history and its importance in the global narrative of exploration and exploitation. We are in one of the caves on the North Pole, located something like 3 kilometers or 4 far from the nearest research laboratory. In one of these caves was recently discovered one of the old virus from the Spain flu. So it's farther ahead we will need to dress up properly to keep and check the rest of these new fields and to continue with our research. As you can see, many of these formations are due to the rain on the summer season and the accelerate global warming that is producing the melting of the old glaciers. Right now inside we are located in a old glacier of a couple of thousands.
Yeah, it actually feels really. Sorry to fool you, boy.
Okay, so on the way back from the cave we've discovered this mysterious opening, which supposedly has just been revealed over the last 2 years due to the melting of the glacier. You can see the remnants of the waterfalls that at the moment are frozen, but they were flowing down hard in the summer supposedly. The color is very peculiar, and we are not really sure what's the story behind and if it has any correlation with this family of viruses that we now suspect has been developing in the Svalbard underground, and yeah, this hole definitely requires some more attention and exploration, but at the moment we don't have the appropriate equipment to rappel down the hole, so we are just taking our first observation from this safe point up here.
Here we came to our facilities. Currently we are located on the University of Svalbard. After a tiring and long day of research on the caves, bring to the light catastrophic possibilities. Huge concern, the speed of the ice melting. We will see what we will find tomorrow. Now we just pack our equipment and we will get ready for tomorrow's for a long expedition into the glacier ice. Climate change encompasses significant and enduring alterations in the Earth's global climate system. This system comprises interconnected elements such as the sun, earth, oceans, wind, precipitations, vegetation, and human activities. While the climate of a specific location, like New York, is different by its local weather patterns, the global climate transcends individual places, representing a broader phenomenon. Central to the discourse on climate change is the concept of global warming, which denotes the gradual rise in the Earth's average atmospheric temperature. This warming trend results from an imbalance in the Earth's energy budget, wherein an increased amount of solar energy is absorbed by the atmosphere and retained, rather than being radiated back into space. The atmosphere functions akin to a greenhouse, trapping heat to sustain life on Earth. However, anthropogenic activities have intensified this natural greenhouse effect, akin to installing highly efficient reflective glass in reverse. Historical events provide poignant illustrations of the consequence of disrupting the Earth's climate balance. For instance, evidence from a cooling event around 1,500 years ago caused by a massive volcano eruptions underscores the vulnerability of ecosystems and societies to climate disruptions.
Climate change harm in Arctic. This is a coal mine, which you can see the fumes from the chimneys, and the city has been flooded for the last 2 days. There is a constant onpour of incredible heat. Today is the first colder day in a while, but we went out to show these surroundings, the ongoing industry for the last decades. Nevertheless, as much as we heard of this place before, and although we are a bit concerned about the scale of the mining going on here and all that, it does not seem to explain the full story, and we have found some traces that there might be a bigger thing going on, and that there is a project which might concern some other parts of the Arctic as well.
Today, the opposite scenario prevails, with excessive heat being trapped in the atmosphere due to human-induced greenhouse gas emissions. NASA offers comprehensive resources elucidating the science behind global warming, emphasizing the urgency of addressing this phenomenon. The accelerated phase of temperature rise poses unprecedented challenge, threatening ecosystems, livelihoods, and human well-being. By understanding the causes and consequences of global warming, society can undertake informed actions to mitigate its impacts and foster a sustainable future. The Arctic experienced abnormal weather patterns in the summer of 2021, with a cool start followed by a rapid onset of high temperatures, triggering extensive melting around the ice sheet. However, increased fire activity in recent years has exacerbated glacier melting, as ash and soot deposits darken the surface, accelerating the absorption of heat and facilitating microbial growth. Overall, these events underscore the vulnerability of Arctic ice masses to climate change, highlighting the urgent need for mitigation efforts.